For 40 years, Hollywood treated the Masters of the Universe franchise like an embarrassing teenage phase. A property so inherently ridiculous that any live action adaptation had to be buried in gritty, muted, post apocalyptic denial. But director Travis Knight looked at the universe featuring a shirtless bodybuilder, an atomic powered cyborg named Roboto, and a guy whose entire superpower is having a giant metal fist, and he said, "No, turn the color palette up to 11.
I don't know what I expected.
Against all conceivable odds, Masters of the Universe 2026 works precisely because it refuses to apologize for being a toy commercial. It is a loud, unadulterated, glorious slice of Saturday morning heavy metal fun that managed to escape a 20-year development hell by realizing the only way out was to lean directly into the camp. Now, right off the bat, the movie just opens in a huge battle sequence. It's not the typical over-choreographed Marvel sludge. It feels exactly like a kid taking two action figures and smashing them together in a backyard sandbox. And that's complete with like this bright, saturated explosions with the weight that hits perfectly, especially in a Dolby theater. I can't really even express the joy as a kid from the 80s seeing these characters look exactly like their cartoon and toy counterparts. I mean, just look at Lockjaw. He looks just like the action figure, and he looks fantastic in the movie. And how even Skeletor with just a skull face is actually able to emote. And I gotta highlight Daniel Pemberton's score in this. It's like a brilliant hybrid of like 80s era hair band anthem mixed with sort of a like Saturday morning cartoon theme. I mean, it's so unpretentious. It unabashedly plays like the classic motifs and even a little bit of the He-Man theme in it. So what is the plot of Masters of the Universe 2026? For 15 years, Prince Adam has been living a nightmare far worse than anything Skeletor could devise. He works in corporate human resources. After crashing on Earth as a child with total amnesia, Adam has grown up believing he's just a regular soft-spoken guy dealing with demanding bosses, spreadsheets, and a roommate. He has been thoroughly domesticated by modern society.
No, God! No, God, please, no! 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 No!
That mundane illusion is shattered when Teela, captain of the Royal Guard, tracks him down on Earth with some minor news. He's actually the lost savior of a magical high fantasy realm called Eternia. While Adam was updating employee handbooks, the theatrical tyrant Skeletor staged a violent coup, imprisoned King Randor, and is currently trying to breach Castle Grayskull to acquire godlike cosmic power. To stop him, this thoroughly westernized conflict-avoidant HR rep has returned to a war-torn alien planet, picked up the legendary Sword of Power, and figure out how to be a hero before the universe gets rewritten. It's actually a modern miracle this movie even happens. This has been in like a 20-year development purgatory. It hopped from Sony to Netflix, and then Netflix burned through $30 million panicking over a budget and not making it. Then Amazon, MGM, and Mattel rescued it. So we had like John Woo was going to direct it, and then make a G. Then Kellen Lutz or Noah Centineo, who's going to be Ken Masters in the Street Fighter movie, they were going to be He-Man. Then they got Travis Knight, who I think is probably the perfect fit. I think he made the best Transformers movie, Bumblebee. Who can forget Kubo and the Two String? And with the internet being the fucking internet, of course there's controversy, you know? What's He-Man without some culture war? And the thing is the nameplate that says his name and it has his pronouns, he, him. You got like the conservative pulp culture channels, wokeification of this hyper masculine icon. I think it's a sort of funny meta joke. First of all, it's a play on words with he, man, he, him. But, you know, it's just the fact that Adam is like a HR conflict resolution speak, and it kind of like hilariously clashes with the brutal sword and sorcery reality of Eternia. What makes it kind of funny. But no, you're gonna have these guys that are like clutching their pearls of any just sort of woke, quote unquote. And I guess there was, I'm not familiar with Nicholas Galitzine, but I guess there was some controversy about his casting. I guess he's like a romantic lead in The Idea of You and Red, White, and Royal Blue. I mean, he's not exactly Arnold Schwarzenegger or Dolph Lundgren, but I think he's great. I think he balances that awkward, endearing, insecure Adam, man, with a genuinely imposing He-Man. I love the unapologetic toy design of this whole movie. Fabian Wagner's cinematography for keeping like Eternia bright and vibrant and very colorful. And just the thrill of just seeing the toy accurate, cartoon accurate character designs kind of made my inner child flutter. And we have a lot of practical set designs in this, and even the CGI execution, like Beastman, it looks faithful to the cartoon and toy, but it doesn't look too CGI. It doesn't have that uncanny valley or like a cartoon in reality. It actually looks really good. Yeah, as I mentioned before, Skeletor actually emoting with just the skull. He actually looks like the cartoon. He looks a little scary. I like the effect of the eyes. His eyes are like glowing red, and there's like this flare, this red kind of lens flare coming from his eyes. I thought that was a pretty cool touch. And I like how they present He-Man in this. He's sort of got like this wonderful touch of aloofness to him. Even when he's in God mode, he's a little dumb and he fucks up a lot. I kind of compare it a little bit to Kurt Russell's Jack Burton and Big Trouble in Little China. It doesn't go that far, but I think it's enough to make him a pretty endearing character. A guy who thinks he's a leading man, but is slightly out of his depth. And another standout for me was Idris Elba as Man-at-Arms. He kind of grounds this entire wild, campy production with a legitimate weight and like a subtle redemption arc for him. And there is a little bit of emotional weight with Camila Mendez's Teela, with the father daughter dynamic there. How he's kind of like an alcoholic after Skeletor took over. And so let's tackle the elephant in the room, and that is Jared Leto as Skeletor. He's got a very polarizing reputation, and I'm not going to go into that. I'm just focusing on the movie and the performance, and I can say he is awesome as Skeletor. I'm sorry. He was great in this role. He leans into like the campy, theatrical, almost Trumpian egomaniac persona of Skeletor. He's a straight up, unmitigated asshole, and it balances being kind of genuinely intimidating one minute and then screeching coward diva the next. Just perfectly capturing the Filmation cartoon essence.
I can't remember when I've had a more pleasant day. Until we meet again!
Now, I think this has awesome pacing. I was kind of concerned, and you can kind of see me and Lucas discuss this when I first brought up the synopsis for this, that it was going to be on Earth again, a lot of it on Earth, kind of like the original 1987 movie, which we watched. You can watch it here with Lucas and I. And while the trailers kind of make it look like it was stuck kind of like a modern day corporate comedy, I think that's about only 20% of the film, if that. Most of it takes place on Eternia. And even the Earth scenes move incredibly fast, and they're funny, and it has like an awesome action set piece in it with Beastman. And then there is a little bit of a pacing, kind of a slowdown with the pacing after the action scene on Snake Mountain. And I do think the movie could have been tightened up a little bit. It's a little long for the type of movie this is, but for the most part, the pacing is what you expect from an 80s cartoon toy commercial adaptation. So I want to talk about the ending right now. So if you just want to see my overall spoiler-free thoughts, check out my overall thoughts in the chapter below. But let's talk about that ending and a lot of the after credits, and also what to expect if there is a Masters of the Universe 2. So they go to Snake Mountain to face off Skeletor. King Randor dies, And he shares like heartbreaking final moment with Adam. Randor confessing like deep regret, telling Adam that he should have just let him be himself. Maybe this is sort of a meta commentary on the adaptation of He-Man or even other cartoons and stuff. Like they just should have just made it a direct adaptation without messing with the formula. I don't know. And that's when Skeletor knocks Adam unconscious and takes the power sword. The final confrontation takes place in Castle Grayskull, of course. We have human Adam, depowered, standing weaponless against Skeletor. He takes a sword, but with Skeletor's electric powers, he destroys the power sword. He takes this power sword and stabs Adam with it. This is where Marina Baccarin Sorceress comes in. It delivers a speech that the actual power is within Adam. So Adam pulls out the sword, it reconstructs itself. I have the power. He tries to talk to Skeletor. Skeletor doesn't have it. He defeats Skeletor and Skeletor dies, just leaving behind a skull. Or does he? And basically obliterates Skeletor's forces. So let's look at the HR metaphor payoff. I mean, you can look at King Randor's final words. Adam's more empathetic conflict resolving Earth persona wasn't a weakness. That's why he was chosen by the sorceress. And he realizes this, King Randor, saying that he should have embraced who he was. That's why he was chosen for that power. Adam didn't need to be a 1980s hyper masculine, stoic warrior. His emotional intelligence is what actually saved Eternia. And deconstructing the toy logic. Treating the Sword of Power as like a literal cheat code or like a plastic gimmick. The ending kind of subverts it. Breaking the sword and forcing a bleeding immortal Adam to fight with genuine stakes. So let's talk about like the after credits. So before the credits, we get Orko. I've been wanting Orko in these movies, and it's awesome. It's the best. One of my favorite parts of the movie where Orko is looking directly at the audience and delivers the classic PSA style morale of the story. In today's story, we saw muscles don't necessarily make a man. It bridges that dark emotional weight of Adam's sacrifice with a comforting nostalgia send-up. Of course, they're positioning spin-offs and everything with this, which I don't know how that's going to do. You can check out our watch along of the original Masters of the Universe. We kind of dive deep into why it never really caught on to the zeitgeist like Ninja Turtles did. But in the mid-credit sequence, we get She-Ra. Get the Sword of Protection, and she's got the cartoon faithful outfit and the flowing red cape with the She-Ra theme. There's a voice off screen that says, "Force Captain Adora," and she turns and says, "Not anymore." This sets up a family reunion and a war against the evil horde for the sequel, proving Adam isn't the only twin who was stolen from Eternia. And of course, the very end credits, the scene is the cackling Skeletor. And Alison Brie as Evil-Lyn, who is very good in this, skulking through the debris of Castle Grayskull after his and He-Man's fight, picks up the disembodied skull of Skeletor and says, "I must say, you've looked better." And then cut to black and you get the iconic Skeletor laugh done by Jared Leto, which was pretty good. So what's the final verdict of Masters of the Universe 2026? Honestly, it's a complete blast. So for decades, live-action comic book and toy adaptations seemed like utterly ashamed of their source material, burying them under like layers of cynical, self-serious realism. Travis Knight did the opposite. He embraced the pure, joyful absurdity of a childhood imagination. It's funny, it's self-aware, and the action scenes feel exactly like the childhood magic of just smashing your toys together. If you're like hardcore about this and you're wanting Eternia to look like Lord of the Rings, you're probably going to rage tweet about this. But if you want a movie that understands that some films should just be incredibly well-crafted, colorful, dumb fun, this is a triumphant crowd pleaser. I'm giving Masters of the Universe 2026 a rock solid 4 out of 5. Check out my movie playlist here and our Masters of the Universe 1987 watch along. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.